The Oregon Department of Transportation has been getting a little bit of heat regarding this article that I have here on the video, and I wanted to go over it and sort of state why I think that that is unnecessary, sort of misconstrued evidence that they are regularly, frequently have or are posting broad mites and hemp russet mites as a way to surreptitiously undermine cannabis cultivation in a similar way that CALTRANS has been sort of vilified over the span of seems like a couple years, if I am to believe my Instagram feed. So that's not cool, and I'm hoping that I can sort of ameliorate the situation. I don't have any special love for the Oregon Department of Transportation, but I don't want people who spend a whole lot of money, honestly, a ton of money, stress, just time worrying about pests, and if I can help people understand where their pests are actually coming from, instead of where people are saying that they come from and don't actually back that up with necessarily correct evidence, then I feel like that's helpful. So here we have it. The title is ODOT, or the Oregon Department of Transportation Integrated Vegetation Management Statewide Plan. So this is just an outline. Okay? I'll read you the introduction. Oregon Revised Statute ORS 634.650-655 requires that the Oregon Department of Transportation practices integrated pest management when controlling pests. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. I think that's a really great idea. This statewide IVM plan outlines how ODOT meets IPM and other natural resource laws associated with vegetation management. It also includes best management practices for vegetation management activities. This plan is meant to be adaptive due to changes in resources, budget, equipment, labor, materials, laws, new rules and regulations, vegetation, new invasive plants, species shifts due to maintenance practices or climate change, and policy, agency directives. That's pretty all-encompassing in my opinion. I think that's pretty much, I think that speaks for itself, honestly. I'm not sure what I could add to that to really go any further. It's a primer. This is a primer. I'm not going to go over all of this background. One of the citations that I've heard effectively regards a particular section of this form. And in that section, I'm going to show you that they don't state, because this is often cited as proof that the Department of Transportation for Oregon is using broad mites and hemp russet mites for pest control, or for pest control, for weed control, for control of weed and I don't mean cannabis when I say weed, right? I mean noxious weeds that are invasive. Similarly, CalTrans has been told, or has been the source of contention because it is perceived as having done similar things for yellow star thistle and Russian thistle. Right. So here we have, in this section 3.1, we have prevention, establishing treatment levels. All of this makes sense. They go over, as I go down, drainage zones, surface drainage zones, maintenance zones, noxious weed management. Let's take a look at that, right? ODOT is required to control any weed designated as noxious by the state or the respective counties. In accordance with ORS 569, the Oregon Department of Agriculture has developed a noxious weed classification and policy that rates noxious weeds as either A, B, or T listed weeds. And I don't know what that means personally. So see reference C, so I would have to do that. ODOT will control all A listed noxious weeds found on the right-of-way. ODOT will manage B and T listed noxious weeds on a case-by-case basis. I'm guessing those ones are either, they're probably less of a problem, I'm guessing, or harder to deal with, perhaps. In addition to the ODA policy, county weed boards may establish noxious weed lists. County weed contacts are listed at this link, which is not hyperlinked, so I cannot click on it, but I'll look at it. Definitely interested now. Special management areas, tree management, migratory birds, USDA Forest Service. Here it says vegetation treatments beyond what is needed for maintenance. I'm not going to get into that. I don't see a pest species being mentioned yet, really, as I skim through this. But what is an issue? The citation that I usually see we're coming up on here. Section 4.3, Biological Control. The description simply reads, the release of biological control agents, and in parentheses, those are designated as insects, mites, and pathogens that target specific plant species. Obviously they are talking about plants because this is vegetative management. We have here best management practices. Use only ODA approved biological control agents. Coordinate with the ODA when releasing. Fill out the ODA control release form. Release biological control agents in areas that will not be disturbed. Include release locations in district IVM, Integrated Vegetation Management Plans. That's it. That's all it says. It doesn't list any species. None. Doesn't list even the species of the noxious weeds they're trying to control. It's simply a description of what biological control is. I don't understand how people who ostensibly should be able to know this and understand this, this is not advanced understanding at all. This is pretty fundamental reading comprehension. It's not even to do necessarily with biocontrol. They certainly mention mites, but like I was saying with the CALTRANS controversy, there are predatory mites even. They don't have to be herbivorous, although they are herbivorous in this case, one would think. And pathogens, there's definitely like rusts and molds and mildews that are not necessarily going to be an issue for crops or an issue for other cultivated plants. They wouldn't want to use something like that and screw up their own agroeconomy. It doesn't make sense. And if this was really a sort of a cloak and dagger way of trying to undermine cannabis cultivation, you would think that they wouldn't broadcast it. You would think there'd be a gag order or something. At least, that's where my mind goes. I don't think that this is that. If you have any questions or comments or feel like I missed anything when I skimmed through, I haven't gone further. I could, but this is really the only reference that I know of that, besides the CALTRANS controversy, which I'll link in the description or on the video. This is the only citation that I see as sort of evidence or proof that ODOT is using broad mite, which is a huge pest of many crops, and hemp russet mite, which is a huge pest of only one crop in particular. That doesn't make sense. So, like the video if you like, leave a comment if you have an opinion that you'd like to share, send me a message if you have any questions or comments, and let me know how you liked this video. I'm going to make more of them in the future, either on this topic or on similar topics. I've also got a video that I made recently about dicamba that you might be interested in, and a 3.1 million acres that were affected by volatile herbicide problems, which is a huge issue that is very overlooked in agriculture and also in cannabis honestly, since we're on the topic. So, there you go.